Hi everybody, welcome to my hillside urban garden. Today we're going to talk about fertilizer and how to get plants out of a pot. I've had some questions from some of our subscribers regarding when I say liquid fertilizer, or when I talk about fertilizer, what do I use and how do I use it. And we're going to talk about which I think is the proper way to take out a plant from its pot. So let's get started. So for me, as you can imagine, we garden on 1/4 of an acre. So we've got a lot of different plants, and typically I really try to focus on getting the fertilizer for the right plant. So I'm going to show you some of the different things that I use and what you can use for your garden if you're just starting out, or what I would recommend. But also you can check with the local garden center to see what they recommend for your area. So for me, for instance, now this is what they call an acid mix. So see, it's got pictures of blueberries on it. So for this one here, I use it for my acid plants. And that could be the blueberries, it could be my hydrangeas, it could be the camellia, all those things. So we go ahead and I'll go ahead and use this. This one is like a powder. So you can see it comes in a bag, and it's kind of just kind of dusty actually. So what I'm going to do when I use these fertilizers, always read the directions on the back. It'll tell you how much to use, and it'll even recommend when you use it. But the when you use it doesn't always have to be that. If you have a plant that's in distress, or you forgot to fertilize it, that type of thing, you can still fertilize your plant. But try not to use more than they recommend, because that actually could kill the plant or put that in distress as well. So this is one of the ones I use, and you can see that this says that it's all natural, and Down to Earth brand has all different varieties of fertilizers that you can use. And this I usually put in it in the spring and once in the probably midsummer. The other ones that I use most all is actually on my flowers. I use Miracle-Gro. So I've got this one right here, which is what I call it's slow release. So this one here is it's got granules. See that? So little circles, little balls of fertilizer. And what I do with this is that I'll sprinkle it around the plant, and you've seen me do that. Just kind of scratch it on top, and we'll just water it with regular water. Now this here feeds, read the thing here. It's this one here says that it feeds up to 3 months. And on the back it tells you, depending on where you're using it, in the ground or in a container, how much to use. Follow the directions. But I mean, how great is this that you can use this general all-purpose is the term you're looking for, fertilizer on any plant, and it feeds it for 3 months. Super cool. Saves you time. Even if you only can get to it once a year, it does help the plants. But since this is Miracle-Gro, it's not organic, I only use this on my flowers. As you know, most of my flowers are annuals, so that I use this just on the flowers, not on the vegetables. But Miracle-Gro does have an organic product. Ta-da! Black container with yellow. So not only do they have the granules, which is what this is right here, same thing, comes in a bag. Lots of little baby circles in here, and if you get them mixed up, you can see there's a different color. It has no blue balls in it. So this one here is what I use on all of my vegetables, or anything that we can eat. We eat trees, berries, and all of that. Again, it says all-purpose, and it also says, does it say how long it feeds? Not on here, but it's usually typically probably up to about 2 months, maybe even 3. So I always use the organics on my vegetables and anything actually that we're going to eat, berries and all of that. So again, this is a slow release fertilizer that is little granules, and every time you water it, it fertilizes the plant. So that's the organic, and then we have the other Miracle-Gro all-purpose, which is what I call the liquid fertilizer. This is what I use every time I'm going to be planting something new. A new plant in a pot, a new plant in the ground, and I always use the Miracle-Gro all-purpose water-soluble fertilizer. And you probably have seen these. They come in packs like this. These very blue, you can't miss it. and you probably have seen these types of feeders here. So this pack goes inside this feeder, and then you connect it to your hose, and you can feed all your plants like that. So all your flowers and stuff like that, go ahead and use this, and it's a very easy way of doing it. You can see I have not used this. I typically don't, because where I am in California, we gotta be really careful about our water. So that kind of, well, to me, is a little bit far-reaching as far as the water and the fertilizer goes. So actually what I typically do is that I usually have an old orchid pot here, and I've got my water-soluble fertilizer, my liquid fertilizer in here, and it comes with a little scoop. So I scoop it in there, and put it in my water bucket here, which is I use all the time. I use a small one because I can't really carry out my hands, won't carry the big stuff, or else I'll be bad by the end of the day. But I put it in there, I fill this up. It's about, that's a little over, probably about a gallon. And then I go and water the plants with that. So mostly just the flowers that I use for this as well. But every time I transplant or put something new in, I always use the liquid fertilizer or water-soluble fertilizer. And that really helps with the shock. The plants get kind of shocky when you take them out of their containers and you put them in something, either the ground or a container. So I always use this, and that really does help to give it a good start in the container or wherever you decide to plant it. So I use that. Now, if you have a smaller garden, or you don't garden a lot and you don't want to spend all this extra money for all these specialty items, I also have fertilizer for like my avocado trees, my lemon trees, orange trees, and the lawn, all that kind of stuff. I have a specialty stuff for all of that, and that's because I have a big space. But if you don't have a big space, or even if you have a big space and you don't want to buy all these different fertilizers, get something like this. This is G&B Organics. This is an organic fertilizer, so which means you can use it on your flowers and on your vegetables. So you can use it for both, and this is the word you want to look for: all purpose, which means you can use it on everything, and all the plants that you fertilize with this will be benefited. And I think also G&B also makes a water-soluble fertilizer as well. So if you want to, when you're doing your transplanting, if you have even a second one that's water-soluble, you can go ahead and use that as well. Again, the organics and fertilizer, it's an all-purpose, and this will be the only one you'll have to buy. Like I said, you can use it for your vegetables and your flowers as well. So that is those are the fertilizers. This is the fertilizers I use most, but again, I do have very specific fertilizers for the avocado trees and all the citrus, and even fruit trees have their own fertilizer, and tomatoes. So Down to Earth actually has, if you want a really good mix of a very specialized fertilizer, find a nursery or a store in your area that sells this one, Down to Earth. It's a really good one. It seems like it lasts me a couple of seasons, one box, and they sell it by the bag, like these big giant bags. My folks buy the big giant bags because they have a really big garden. So so get the Down to Earth. This is a good one as well. They also sell an all-purpose, so you could do the Down to Earth all-purpose as well. So I hope that answers some of your questions. If you have any additional questions about fertilizer, put it in the comments below, and I can answer them at that time, or we can do another video. So the second part of this is going to be how do I get the plants out of the pot? What is this V thing I keep talking about? Okay, we do the V when we take the plants out. Well, let's show you. So this is a pepper here that I started from seed, and still haven't planted it yet. I've kind of run out of room, but I think I'm going to stuff it somewhere. So what I talk about the V is that what is the easiest way to get this plant, especially this one's, look at it, it's tall and leggy. It might be one that's kind of wide, we don't, but this can go for all the plants. And even if it's in a 1 gallon pot, it still works as well. So by putting your hands in the V, well, kind of think about the Vulcan sign, right? Okay, Vulcan sign. But I usually do this because it gives me a little more strength on my 3 fingers to hold the plant. And what you're doing here is I'm taking my fingers and I'm putting them in between here. So what it's going to do is going to cradle these 2 plants right here. Okay, so what's going to happen is I'm going to be able to hold it so when I flip it over, it doesn't fall out. So typically before we do this, I just give it just a little squeeze, right, just a little bit around, And then I find a place where my hands fit comfortably, right? So you can even do the two, doesn't matter, just something in there to hold it in place, okay? So let's do it, what am I comfortable here? That's most comfortable for me. So I'm gonna turn it over. I got the V, I'm gonna turn it over. And for some reason, the little pat really helps release it at the last moment there. And you can feel, yep, you kind of feel it kind of went down a little bit. And then you can just take the pot off. And when you do that, look at that. So you can see here that it's not coming apart. I have it level here. The plant is upside down, but it's not in stress or anything like that. It's waiting for me to turn it over. So then you can see all the roots. I put my hand on the top. I can flip the plant over. I still have a hold of it so it's not falling apart, and I can put it in whatever pot or container or the ground that I have. That way it gets in the ground whole. Yeah, the roots are not exposed for any length of time, or they don't fall apart. So it gives it a much better chance to get started. So that's the V that I always talk about, how to do that. So let's do it just one more time. So we'll put that on there. We got our hands in a V or the Vulcan sign, whatever works for you. Find a place where your hands feel comfortable in the pot. Around the plant. We're going to kind of cradle it right there. So then at that point, after we kind of do a little squeeze on the pot, we're going to turn it over. We're going to feel it kind of fall. You feel it. Trust me, you do. And if you don't, just give it a little squeeze until it does. We're going to take it off. Put your hand on the top. Turn the plant back over. Now it's ready to go ahead and plant, put it into the ground, whatever you're going to do with it. So it gives it a much better chance to get started. So there you go. We'll put it back in. Oh, if you decide don't want to plant it, just reverse it. It's no worse for wear. All right, so if you have any questions about that, leave a comment down there, and I'll go ahead and get to your questions, give you some good answers, I hope. So thank you, everybody, for watching the video today. And everyone, always remember, be safe in the garden. Always wear your hat and your sunscreen. Be safe. So thanks for watching the video, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.